wake up in the car with the engine running, keys in the ignition, ready to go to work, just in your underpants and shirt.
Parasomnia. It's a nightmare dreamt by one, lived by another.
I've woken up with his elbow literally centimetres from my face.
A dimension where people can do amazing things.
Lee?
It's only when I wake up in that morning for that split first couple of minutes I know that I've done something.
And a dimension where people can do terrifying things.
A parasomnia can be, like what you said, can be sleep talking, sleepwalking, can be sleep eating, can be sleep sex.
Thankfully, Dr. Tony Fernando doesn't box during his sleep. Battering the head is for fitness. Getting inside it is his day job. He's a psychologist with a keen interest in the science of sleep.
What happens with parasomnias is people actually, parts of their brain get stuck somewhere in the sleeping state, and parts of their brain are actually already in the waking phase. So it's like a discoordinated type of phenomenon in the brain.
And lights on you?
Ryan Cadwallader is an extreme sleepwalker.
You bastards.
Who goes to great lengths to limit his midnight meanderings.
I don't have anything with caffeine in it after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whether it be Coke or just a strong cup of coffee. I don't have anything like that.
Ryan and his fiancée Andrea can really live the dream.
Not to embarrass him too much, but he woke me up one time to ask me how he looked in his space gear.
Houston, we've had a problem. Roger.
And how did he look?
It was 3 a.m, I wasn't really too impressed.
Totally wasn't amused at all, didn't think it was funny.
Do you remember that?
No, don't remember that one.
Do you own a spacesuit?
No.
The Eagle has landed.
Strange goings on at night. It's been this way for as long as he can remember. So Ryan, what was the first experience that you remember?
Walking down the beach and waking up with stones in my bed from the beach. That's probably one of the ones that sticks out in my mind. So probably the earliest one that I can remember.
Was it quite obvious what had happened?
It was quite obvious what had happened. I mean, there was stony footprints out the door and grass clippings and everything. Right. I thought I'd better clean these up, otherwise Mum will go spare.
So, is there any connection or trigger?
Yeah, I was watching Apollo 13, and it just happened to be on TV. So, for some reason, that triggered something.
Right.
I mean, there's no logic or anything like that to it that I can see.
By day, Ryan's an engineer. At home, he and Andrea run a small business, taking aerial photos from radio-controlled helicopters.
I feel like it's going to fire a rocket at us.
At one point, a career in real planes was on the cards.
Obviously an aviation nut.
Yeah.
Has this affected your decision to...
Certainly there were a number of factors, and I think this was one of them, is spending time away in strange places. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how I'd handle that.
Sleep parasomnia. It's a medicine that's being increasingly studied. No wonder, it's estimated 120,000 New Zealanders experience it. Unusual or undesirable behaviour that occurs while someone sleeps.
In fact, through parasomnia, walking around the house, you wouldn't think they're asleep because they act normally. The only thing that will make you wonder is they're not engaging with you, they're not actively talking to you, but their eyes are open and they seem to be doing normal stuff.
Sleepwalking and sleep talking is fairly common, but not too far down the spectrum, and things step up a level.
Does this sort of thing destroy relationships?
I've seen a couple where the man beat up his girlfriend severely, and I'm sure it would have led to a separation or an assault charge, and except for the fact that they sought help.
So can you blame a parasomniac for their actions? Around the world there are controversial cases. In the US, Stephen Reitz murdered his girlfriend after an otherwise romantic evening in a Catalina hotel. His defence, based on medical tests and his history of sleepwalking, was that he couldn't be held accountable. In the end, the jury disagreed. But back in 1988, Canadian Kenneth Parks was acquitted. He'd driven 15 miles, broke in and assaulted his father-in-law and stabbed his mother-in-law to death. He claimed he was asleep at the time and had no idea what he was doing. That
scenario seems a little on the fringe of typical parasomnia stories. Usually it will be it can be a complex behavior like driving or biking, but there's no other complicated activities after that.
A quick search on the web and there are plenty of other complicated activities that parasomniacs can get up to. There was the Australian woman who'd get up in the night and have sex with strangers. There was the man who'd get up and cook in his sleep. And this guy, Lee Hadwind, who knows nothing about art during the day, but at night time draws masterpieces. So, we tracked him down.